This video explains the concept of time-driven activity-based costing. It's the third video in a series of videos explaining ABC. In the first video, we provide a brief introduction and look at some of the benefits and drawbacks of ABC. And in the second video, we use an example of a company manufacturing 3 products to illustrate how the concept's used. Time-driven activity-based costing, as the name suggests, enables us to allocate the costs based on the time consumed for each activity. It can also be really useful for investigating the resources used in a service activity environment. Let's take a simple example to see how it works in practice. Let's assume we have a customer service department. Now, this customer service department undertakes the following activities: handling customer orders, processing customer complaints, and performing customer credit checks. We've been provided with some basic data. Firstly, we have the activities of handling customer orders, processing customer complaints, and performing customer credit checks. We've then been given information on how much time is spent by the department on each activity, and this has been gathered using an employee-based survey. Finally, we've estimated the cost drivers for each activity, so we need to know how many customer orders are we likely to process, how many customer complaints, and the volume of customer credit checks. We've also been told that the annual costs of the department are $800,000. Using the traditional approach, we take our percentage time allocations and apply it to the $800,000 total so that we can allocate an assigned cost to each activity. Then, using the quantity of each activity that we estimated, we can calculate our cost driver rates. The resultant cost driver rates can be used to allocate costs based on customer usage, and this will be particularly useful when using ABC within customer profitability analysis. The problem with this approach is that for organisations that have large numbers of staff, it requires detailed timesheets to be recorded and analysed on a regular basis. A potential solution to the problem is to look at the time taken per activity. Let's imagine we've undertaken a time and motion study and ascertained in hours the time taken for each activity. So to handle a customer order takes on average 1.5 hours, and to process complaints from their beginning to their completion takes us on average 8 hours, and to perform a customer credit check takes us 5 hours. Now we can use this information to calculate the cost per hour. So let's first of all compute the total number of hours available in the department. Let's assume, for the sake of argument, that we have 10 workers who each work 40 hours per week, and to keep it nice and simple, we'll assume they work for 50 weeks of the year. And this would give us, multiplying the numbers out, a total of 20,000 hours available in the department. Now we can calculate the cost per hour. We take the total cost of the department, which we were told was $800,000, simply divide it by the number of hours available for work, and that gives us a cost per hour of $40. Now we can apply our time-driven activity-based costing. So the first step is to take our time taken in hours. We can then calculate the cost per activity. If we take customer orders as an example, we can see that it takes 1.5 hours, our hourly rate was $40 per hour, so the cost of the activity is $60. Similarly, for customer complaints, 8 hours at $40 means dealing with a customer complaint costs us $320 and $200 to perform the customer credit check. Now if we take our activities and multiply that by the cost per activity, we can allocate the cost of each activity in total. Remember that our total costs were $800,000, and therefore what this allows us to do is to look at the cost of the unused capacity. So if we've calculated our time taken in hours correctly, and we've calculated the activities correctly, we will finish up under recovering $160,000 of cost. If we divide that by the $40 per hour, we can also ascertain that we've got underutilised hours of 4,000 within the department. So what does all this tell us? It enables us to ascertain the cost of underutilised capacity within a department, and this can aid us with resourcing decisions for the future. For example, it might indicate that we're overstaffed within the customer services department. It also provides for better budgeting for different levels of activity if we understand the relationship between the activity and the cost. It can highlight expensive activities that could be investigated with a view to improving the process. For example, is it possible to reduce the time spent dealing with a customer complaint? So time-driven activity-based costing provides a means of costing and managing service-led activities much more effectively. Other videos in this series are Activity-Based Costing, an Introduction, and Activity-Based Costing, an Example using more than one product. Other videos and resources can be found at my website, managementaccountingandstrategy.com, and the website promotes management accounting in support of strategy.